Today, let's build a Next.js application that connects with the Saleor API using OpenID Connect for user access management. OpenID Connect is an identity layer built on top of the OAuth 2.0. If you're familiar with the OAuth flow, using OpenID Connect is straightforward. For the purpose of this example, we will use Auth0 as the identity authentication platform. So first of all, let's start with Auth0. I will log in to my account. And here I need to go to my applications. And let's create a new one. We need to select single page web applications. And now let's just adjust the settings. So we have our domain, our client ID secret. The one thing that needs to be customized is the allowed callbacks URL section. So here for this example, we will be using localhost. And let's say on the port 3000 with the API Auth callback. And let's save that. So that's all when it comes to Auth0. Now let's go back to our dashboard. And in the configuration settings, let's go down to the plugins. Let's select the OpenID Connect. And here we need to, first of all, make this plugin as active. And let's copy some of the things from our application. So first of all, client ID. OAuth authorization URL is the URL that starts with our domain. And then we need to add authorize. Then OAuth token URL. We need to set it to OAuth token. Here we need to set it to well-known JWKS JSON. And for the user info, we will set it to user info. So these values are specific to our identity solution. For different platforms, those path names can be slightly different, but usually it's something like authorize, auth token, and so forth. The last thing is to set up the client secret. So let's just copy that and let's set this up here. So now our OpenID Connect plugin is active and we can go to the next step, which is creating a Next.js application. And to make it a bit more straightforward when building a Next.js application that connects with Saleor API, we will be using the official Saleor Auth SDK. So first of all, let's just generate a new app. Let's call it OpenID Connect Saleor. We will use the defaults, except this question. We'll be using the pages router. And let's add the Auth SDK. So we need to be sure that the Auth SDK is in version 0.9 or higher. Let's open our directory. And let's see if the application works. It works. So now we need to set up the Apollo client first. So we will be following this README section over here. So we need the Apollo client. And then we need to set up the _app file. So I will just copy that. And let's open up tsx and let's replace everything like so. So here we need to just add the component, page props, and we need to set up our Saleor API URL. So in our case, it's this one over here, GraphQL. So once we have it connected, let's go to the OpenID section and we need to connect the OpenID Connect flow. So in this example, we will be trying to run the current user query. So let me copy that first and then we will discuss it. So I'll be using home and let's replace all that with our custom code. And let's see what happens here. So the goal is to run this current user query. GraphQL query that returns those 3 fields. In order to do that, we need to configure our external authentication, and we need to provide the Saleor API URL. So in our case, it's this one over here. We are selecting as the provider OpenID Connect, and then we need to define the redirect URL. So in development, this will be localhost on the port 3000, and it will be redirected to API Auth callback. We haven't created that yet, and then we will just grab the sign out to handle the sign out situation. So first we are checking if we are either in the authentication flow or we are in the process of loading the current user. If we have the user, we will be displaying that, and if we don't have the user, we will be showing the login with the Auth URL, which is the one returned by the use Saleor external Auth hook provided by the Auth SDK. The final piece is to create an API route called, in our case, Auth Callback TS. And here we will just copy this section over here. The only thing we need to customize is the URL of our Saleor API instance. So again, it's GraphQL. In production, it would be good to extract it to environment variables. But for this example, we'll be just setting it as is. And that should be all. Let's try to run this application. So once we run it, we have this login button. And if we click the button, we'll be redirected to our Auth0 application we created. So we can use the default identity providers. I will use the Google provider. So it asks if I want to share my profile information and email. I accept. And now I'm running the query against the Saleor API. So it works and I can log out. And this way I can run any GraphQL query with Saleor API as the target. So that's all. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.